everybody. Well, welcome. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records. And today on Dat Fury Radio, guest Jerry Chapman from Mount Airy, North Carolina. What's going on, Jerry?
Hello, and I should tell you, I've now moved to the big city of Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Winston-Salem, you know, I think we talked about that privately on email, but I was reading your bio just 5 minutes ago. So I've got, you need to update maybe your about page on your website, jerrychapman.com.
I should probably talk to my publicist. There you go. That's me.
Oh,
that's
no.
me.
Just for background, so Jerry and I have known each other for over 20 years now.
Oh, goodness.
Which is a heck of a thing to say. Jerry was a member of a band called Life in General, excellent band, whose music is still really fun to listen to. But Life in General would come to Doane College, now Doane University, where I was a student. And just to give you a little, I don't know if you were kind of legendary on campus when I got there. So you'd been coming through Doane for a few years at least. And this was, the Life in General show was like one of the big shows of the year that the student activity would put on. And so I definitely, went to the first one. And by your second or third time coming through, not overall, but since I got to campus, Scott and I were opening for you.
Yes, I remember it well.
Which was always a lot of fun. And we've just stayed in touch over the years and enjoyed each other's music and enjoyed the occasional pen pal type of relationship. But we're here tonight to listen to Jerry's new EP, West, the conclusion of a 2-year odyssey covering the cardinal directions. And Jerry, remind me, when does it come out officially?
So I don't know when this is gonna release, but hopefully it'll already be out. So today I'm talking to you on Wednesday. Is that right?
Yeah, the 19th today.
It's gonna come out on the 21st. It'll come out in 2 days.
Perfect. So it will be out at jerrychapman.bandcamp.com when listeners start hearing this on the 25th.
Cool. Yes, it'll be there.
So it'll be there, and presumably all the other places you tend to stream music if people are into that.
Absolutely. Yep.
We do tend to love the Bandcamp, but
yes, we do.
It's also the other places. So
man, I'm just happy when anybody listens to my songs.
Listening's good. It
sounds fake, but it's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
And that is, if there's a call to action here, it's exactly that. Listen to the songs.
Yeah.
And let's listen to one now. Let's get started with Clues off of West.
Did you think that I was doing this out of love, out of guilt, because of all the things I felt when I was young, just a kid? I'll tell you what the problem is. We're all scared to open up. We tell ourselves we're not enough. So many secrets that we keep hidden. I'm just trying to get what's on the inside out. I don't know what it's all about, but I want to leave something behind. And I want to be remembered by my family, friends, and kids. No, not everything I did, but I'll leave some clues to find. Just getting started on this thing that we call life. So far, a real good time. Oh, the stories I could tell.
So tell me, what prompted the set of all the EPs? Was this a overall plan that you had, or did it just kind of tumble out that way?
I don't remember exactly when I had the idea to do it, but once I did, I tried to figure out which songs would land well together, would sit well as a group, and also there are specific reasons that they're named the way they're named. There's at least some little bit, like this last one was almost entirely recorded in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a cool little town about 2 hours due west of where I live.
In 1999, it never ended up online, so I'm allowed to Carry on.
So everything was written or demoed at least kind of before East?
Yeah, probably. I think that East had some current songs. I mean, almost all the songs were at least 2 years old. And I think this one, West, I think all of those were probably written between 2020 and 2022. So yes, I mean, a big part of this project was kind of like going through all these songs I'd written over the past several years and figuring out which ones I actually liked enough to properly record and how they fit together.
And you must have had a lot of candidates from the songwriting exercises and the Monday morning music club.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And still probably tons of songs that I'll go back and revisit. We'll see. But I guess I better start writing songs again as well. So,
so it's been a while. You've been on a
no,
break?
Not a complete break. I mean, I think last year I probably wrote, 15 songs, which is actually pretty good, I suppose. And this year, we're a third of the way through the year. I mean, I think I've got 2 or 3 that I like,
Yeah. That's a good pace. I've been tracking a bunch of guitars for songs I wrote a while ago now. And I was just thinking like, I don't know that I wrote a guitar song in 2024. Now, tons of synthesizers and samplers and recording and production, but I don't know if I have a new set of words and chords from 2024 at all. Cool. Let's keep it going with Different People.
Yeah.
That's the song title.
It is.
I'm not going to be like randomly pulling different people into the call all of a sudden.
We're entirely different people. I'm not sure where you stand, but I know if you're in trouble, I'm supposed to lend a hand. Is it wrong to change your mind? Try to strip you of command. My heart is just as hard as yours, so I'll offer what I can. I'm wishing you sweet dreams. Whatever that may mean, we all go to bed so dirty, but we hope to come out clean. Just struggling to get it right. It'll probably take more than one night. It doesn't mean we shouldn't try.
To my ears, West as a whole,
You're looking for a smile from
it sounds very easy, meaning it doesn't sound overworked in the composition or in the production. Like it flows very naturally. The lyrics have a lot of prosody and just there's certainly a lot of meaning to them, but they just come out smooth. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, and you're not wrong. Yeah.
Was it actually? Were these easy, or is there a lot of blood, sweat, and tears? That's hidden?
No, there almost never is blood, sweat, and tears in my songs, and sometimes that means the songs aren't great. But this batch of songs, as I recall, I mean, there was hardly any rewriting. I said what I need to say. That's it. The recordings certainly sound better than the recordings we're hearing now. Sound better than the demos, but we didn't change the arrangements that much. I mean, it's percussion. Almost the entire album is percussion, bass, a 6-string guitar, a 12-string guitar, and piano, and then a couple little things, but not much.
The 12-string is really nice. That's a great
Isn't it cool?
touch to kind of set it apart.
Well, it was really surprising to me when I sort of landed on these demos to record for this project. I picked them because there was a theme maybe just in vibe or tone and also lyric. And it turned out that all the demos I'd done had a finger-picked guitar on the left channel and a strummed guitar on the right channel, and we ended up doing a 12-string on all of it for that one. So they all it was weird that I picked these songs and they all had the same instrumentation without me sort of knowing that's where I was going with it. And at first I was... Go ahead. Okay. I was kind of worried that there was a sameness to the songs. And there is a little bit obviously in instrumentation and in themes. And I think that works really well for this record. I mean, I hate to call it a concept record, but also I would not hate to call it a concept record. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I think it works really well for an EP. 10 in a row might be a lot.
Sure. Yes.
But for this, for the length that it is, I think it works perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, with the way those demos kind of had the similar instrumentation, do you know why that happened? Like, were they written kind of at the same time, or is that just a thing you tend to do a lot of, or?
Well, no,
it's just an accident.
I think it was an accident, sort of. I'd never done, when COVID hit, and I think probably at least 2 or 3 of these songs were written in 2020 or 2021. When COVID hit, a lot of people learned how to bake bread, and I was like, well, I should learn how to finger pick guitar, because I was always terrible at that. I don't mean to brag, but I learned how to play Blackbird when I was 14. But anyway, but I'd never really written songs like with fingerstyle guitar, and I was like, well, I should do that, and just by nature of playing in that style, it sort of informs the type of song you would do, and maybe even the lyric that you would do.
Yeah, I'm not really any good at finger picking either. I do love to kind of strum with just my fingers on my right hand and, pick out little, kind of real basic Neil Young kinds of things. But I've never done like the deep dive on the right hand technique at all.
Yeah, I'm still not great at it, but it really did help me create like a different kind of song,
I do feel like, so what were you doing before? Because you weren't just bashing away. Did you do a lot of picked arpeggios or?
A little bit, but it was, even with Life in General, it's a lot of strumming.
Sure.
I grew up listening to rock music, and then when I switched to acoustic guitar, it was kind of like, oh, what would Paul Stanley from Kiss play on an acoustic guitar, So, yeah.
So were those, this is an aside, but you had a small pedal board for Life in General, and I remember a few points in the set you'd kick on like a Phase 90 or something on the acoustic.
You're right. Yeah, and I still have, what's some sort of fuzz box. It's the yellow, I don't know. It's not a tube screamer. It's a Boss something. I don't know.
SD1 maybe?
I don't know. It's yellow, and it makes it fuzzy.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm a tech guy.
All right. What is this? To Save Someone.
Yeah.
To Save Someone. There's that finger picking.
Yep.
It's not life or death, but maybe it is. They don't know the stories that we keep hidden in a single breath. We start living again. There's no us versus them. I know that it's better to believe in love. Sometimes I wonder whether we should cut and run. We're all in this together, but is that enough to save someone?
The percussion on all these songs really is perfect for the song. It's never too much.
Isn't it great? And I didn't.
It
and I
has a
didn't
lot
do
of
it.
energy without having a lot of notes or taking up a lot of sonic space.
Yeah. The guy that did it he plays with the guy that engineered the record and played piano. And I, in the past couple records, I'm a pretty good. I don't mean to brag. I'm a pretty good tambourine player. Maybe as good as the girl from the Partridge Family. But so I'm happy always doing like some like light, shakers, tambourines. But for this album, I was like, gosh, it'd be cool to have somebody that actually could make a musical statement, with the percussion. He was great. He just came in for an afternoon and just nailed the songs and like really creatively, really musically. But like you said, he didn't step over the songs or anything.
No, he's a great fit for your songs.
You are not the first person to notice that. That's something.
I know that it's better to believe in love. Sometimes I wonder whether we should cut and run. We're all in this together, but is that enough? I know that it's better to believe in love. Sometimes I wonder whether we should cut and run. We're all in this together, but is that enough?
So I'm going to give some background. The question I'm going to ask in a second is, how hard is it, or do you find it hard or easy or something else to write so plainly and honestly about emotion? And that's something, I've talked about it. I think I've talked about it in fairly recent episodes of Dat Fury. Maybe you and I have emailed about it. I don't remember for sure, but like that's something I really admire. It's something I didn't do in my early songs and have come around to challenge myself to do more and more. And I for myself, I do find it difficult. Metaphor and imagery and making up stories is a much more of a safe feeling. Writing very plainly feels much more vulnerable, but you do it comes off quite naturally. I don't know again if it's hard to get to that space or not, but
it's definitely you and I are of a pair in that regard. I mean, it's like for years. I mean, there were certainly some songs throughout my quote unquote career, that had a little bit like opened up a little bit, but I think. I guess mainly when the pandemic hit, I was like, I should start writing about some stuff that means something. And people don't like it. That's fine. They can make their own record. But yeah, you're not wrong for sure. I mean, there was a lot of times that I was sort of, people, what's that song about? And I was like, it's something I saw in a movie or something, something I read, which is a valid way to write songs as well, I think.
Absolutely.
But this record, you were absolutely correct. This is certainly the most plain, vulnerable record I've ever done, for sure.
So I've got the track listing of, I think your first solo album, Making God Laugh, up here.
Yeah.
Just to compare, so, some of my favorites, Blue Sky Rider is more of a story song.
Sure. Yep.
She's All Heart, more of a story song. But like, what about Love?
Well, that was,
I sense some roots there in terms of what has grown into what you're doing now.
Well, we might have talked about that in the last podcast. That's actually a cover. So
maybe so.
For all the vulnerable songs, I would just steal other people's songs.
Sure.
Let them take the heat,
which is completely valid too.
Sure. Oh yeah.
But it's not the same challenge,
right? And
it's not the same growth and development as an artist.
Yeah. And it's funny. I noticed, I don't know when I started opening up a little bit more, but I definitely noticed when I did, the response that I got from folks was,
oh, cool.
Was like, oh yeah, you should do more of this.
They could tell a difference.
Yeah, I think so. I do. Yeah.
And we should. So there's the audience for this is kind of interesting for me to imagine, because Yeah, there's the Dat Fury listeners, the weekly Dat Fury listeners, and I appreciate you so much, and it's so fun to see those numbers tick up bit by bit. Thanks for all that. There's some Mr. Furious and some don't, some of my friend, like my personal circle, who might dip in for this one, right?
Yep.
Based on name recognition. And then, welcome to the Jerry fans who might be hearing about the podcast, about me, or anything like that for the first time. And I'm coming around to say, I want you to plug. You play a lot of shows in your area, and so you have a lot of opportunity to road test stuff and get that feedback. So I guess that's just an observation, and people should go to probably jerrychapman.com for shows. They should,
yeah. There's, sadly, there's not a ton of all original music shows. There are certainly some, and there are going to be more. It's a nice area. There are more listening rooms and original sort of rock folk clubs opening up around here. So there is the opportunity. I do a ton of wineries and breweries, which is great, and I'll do about half and half original cover. But it's cool that I can road test the songs. But for an album like this, it's really tough to, I'll play these songs, but people aren't sitting there, glued to my every word. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's still cool to get to play original music, and you can look out and you can see somebody noticing. Usually, not always, but usually.
It is. I don't know if we can explain this to an imaginary someone who hasn't performed, but it is wild the sense of the room that you can have from the stage.
Oh yeah.
And it's all somehow. It feels like it's just in the air, and you just know. I don't know what the science is behind the micro expressions and what it's all subconscious kind of, but you can tell when it's working, when it's not. Somebody's into it, nobody's into it.
Yeah.
It can be really obvious from the stage, but I can't put my finger on like why that. You just feel it.
Yeah. Sometimes you see it. Sometimes the stage is, quote unquote stage is the corner of the winery in broad daylight. And sometimes you see somebody, there's almost always at least one person that's responding, and that's fine. It's cool.
Yeah. The attention kind of moves around.
Yeah.
That's something I've learned.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Oh no.
Professional transition, baby.
That's right. This ain't your first rodeo.
Sometimes I think I'm lucky. I've got some friends who call it blessed. No, I don't like that term so much. It lifts me up. It's better than the rest. And I'm not holy, I'm not evil, I'm somewhere in between. I've got a heart that's unretrievable, depending on how I lean. And there's something I've learned in all my days. We all need.
The opening lines of this are such a great example of you're really good at illustrating differences among people, but having like a pretty explicit undercurrent of kindness.
Yeah, cool.
You're not out here picking fights.
Right.
And there's something you need to understand.
How intentional is that?
I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just I think it's maybe my character. I don't know.
So much better. I know what I'm worth.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
And there's something I've learned in all my days.
Here come the Evos.
To be heard.
Is it you Eboing?
It's me Eboing. Yeah.
Nice. There was some real high. Was there some chimey? What's in the intro?
That is probably like a fake glockenspiel and an electric guitar.
Yeah.
Sort of nicking the movement of the fingerstyle guitar.
Let's try to keep the heart of a child. And I was wrong, and I'm sorry, but I'll always keep in touch. You're strong, so I won't worry, at least not too much. And there's something I've learned in all my days. We all need...
I think that Ebo section might have been the first instrumental break kind of on this whole EP.
Oh, yeah. You may be right.
It's pretty just like... And I'm only clocking this now on like my fourth listen, but...
yeah, you may be right. It's not, there's no room for shredding on this.
There's not a lot, yeah. Not a lot of shredding. But you leave a nice amount of space in the vocal. So it doesn't, the vocal isn't just constantly words.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel that super busy.
And I'm sure the demo had an Ebo solo because that's what I was feeling whatever the night I wrote the song, and so I was like, well, we got to keep it,
First thought, best thought sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, let's just keep going. Nothing left for me here. The conclusion to the West EP, which is the conclusion to the Cardinal Directions project.
As far as you know.
Oh, but there's only 4 Cardinal Directions.
I know.
What a day it was. A day like any other day.
We probably shouldn't trouble you with the what's next question, considering that this just came out.
You can trouble me with that eventually, yeah. I know what's next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can break news if you want, or you're certainly invited back whenever
yes.
What's Next comes around.
Well, I'm gonna keep making records just so I can talk to you once every year or so.
Well, we never doubt, not the me part, but we never doubted that you'd keep making something.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you have a more specific plan in mind.
They all turn to smile, and it seems like it's for me. We were in this together. It ain't hard to believe. As I walked the miles, I knew some of the steps were wrong. Call it strength or call it blindness, but I kept on pushing on. Thank God I didn't know better. I never thought about whether I should do what I love throughout my years. Don't know why I didn't give up. A little faith, a lot of luck, but it's time to move on. There's nothing left for me here. There's nothing left. You should know you were always on my mind. I used up all my stories. Gotta leave some.
Traveling Song's kind of an appropriate ending for a set of music about directions.
Yeah, good point. But also, this is in fact a song about my own death.
A day like
and what I imagine to be a really nice final day of my life.
Shone brighter, and then I start to fade. Thank God I didn't know better. I never thought about whether I should do what I love throughout my years. Don't know why I didn't give up. A little faith, a lot of luck, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. There's nothing left for me here.
I'm really happy you added that detail to the interpretation. That's something that's been on my mind. It's something that I've thought about a lot over the past year or so, actually. So about a year ago, I'm putting her in frame. We had to say goodbye to our lovely Miles Davis, the cat, and she fortunately she had a really great last day, and the vet was able to come over, and the sun was shining and all that stuff. And
there you go. Yeah.
But yeah, that sent me down a path of that was my first time really saying goodbye to a pet. I didn't grow up with indoor pets, and Miles was really a full family member, and so that sent me down a path of learning about different approaches to that, those types of decisions and those types of days, and for humans and animals.
Yeah.
It's something that's kind of hard in our. We tend to suppress talk and discussion about that. I feel like in our culture, and I wish we didn't. I wish we talked about it more openly. So I'm glad that you wrote the song about it and that you made explicit what now that you say it is pretty obvious in the lyrics, but it takes a long time for lyrics to sink in for me, so I hadn't quite gotten there yet, and I'm glad you said it.
You'll hear it in a different way next time. Yeah.
That's not new to your way of writing either. I mean, there's the whole Dead Ringers.
That's right. Yeah.
Sort of double Rumors of My Death album. So a whole album.
Yeah.
Of yours called Rumors of My Death. It's accompanying covers EP Dead Ringers. So a little bit of double entendre there, but also, I mean, the covers you chose are about death pretty much. So,
but also I'm a super happy guy. So
those aren't, those are two great tastes that taste great together, right?
That's right. Exactly.
There's a Zen aspect to all of that.
Yeah, I think I got another at least 25, 30 years in me, so we'll see.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That sounds good. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, you can pick up West at jerrychapman.bandcamp.com or wherever you stream your music. Tour dates, mainly in the North Carolina area, at jerrychapman.com.
Yep.
Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
Well, if I am, we will have a chance to cover it in a second. Listeners, you'll hear it in a week. But press play on some beautiful music, whether it's from Jerry Chapman or Datura Records or Mr. Furious Records, or whoever your favorite artist is. Listen to some music.
Yes.
Have a good week, and we'll be back next week on Dat Fury Radio.